Do you ever wonder if he regrets losing you? That quiet ache, the kind that lingers long after the door has closed, the space between where he once was and where you are now. Does he miss you in ways he can't express? Does he reflect on the life you shared and wish he had done things differently? Or has he simply moved on, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a silence that weighs heavy on your heart? After 60, regret doesn't shout. It lingers quietly, hidden in memories and silence. After all these years, it feels like a part of you is still waiting, wondering if he feels the loss like you do. Hi, it's Vernon again. Today, we'll explore 5 signs that might show whether he truly regrets losing you, even if he's never said it aloud. If this kind of wisdom resonates with you, don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. It might just be the one reminder you need before it's too late to understand the quiet signs that reveal a man's true feelings. Now, let's take a look at the signs that might tell you whether he regrets losing you, even if he's not saying it out loud.
Sign 1. The silent signs you might miss. There's a certain heaviness to silence after a breakup. We often mistake it for indifference, but in reality, it's a profound space filled with unspoken emotions. When a man regrets losing you, his silence becomes a mirror, reflecting not just his feelings, but his internal conflict. The absence of words can often speak louder than the loudest declarations. Men, especially as they grow older, have learned to mask their emotions. Unlike women, who often express their feelings outwardly, men tend to hide behind a wall of quiet. They think that silence shields them from vulnerability, but in truth, that silence is often born from regret. Carl Jung spoke about the power of silence, calling it a space of reflection, a place where our truest selves emerge. When a man pulls away, it's not because he doesn't care anymore. It's because he's confronting his own regrets. In the quiet, he wrestles with the weight of his choices, questioning what might have been if he had acted differently. This silence is not the absence of feeling. It is the weight of regret, too heavy to voice, yet impossible to ignore. A man who regrets losing you may remain silent because he is afraid to face what he has lost, or even more so, because he's not sure whether you would want to hear the truth. But in that silence, you are not forgotten. You are, in fact, often very present in his mind, a ghost of what could have been. Sometimes silence becomes the only language of regret, because it's in those quiet moments that he confronts the depth of his loss. As time passes, that silence can feel like a void, but in truth, it's a painful acknowledgement of what was lost, the space where his regrets silently echo. Now, let's explore how his actions, or lack thereof, might reveal even more about whether he regrets losing you. Because regret doesn't just sit in silence. It reveals itself through the smallest of gestures, in the things he no longer does.
Sign number 2. The inconsistent reach-outs. I remember the years after my divorce. There was a time, shortly after we parted ways, when I would reach out to her, But it was never a clean gesture. It wasn't as simple, "How are you?" It was more like a fishing expedition, an attempt to bridge the distance that I wasn't sure how to cross. I didn't realize it at the time, but those reach-outs were born from regret. I had always believed that if I kept the door open, even just a crack, maybe things would come back to a place where we could at least speak without the bitterness or silence between us. But when I look back, I see it now. Those messages, those half-hearted attempts, were not about rekindling something. They were a reflection of my guilt, my realization that I didn't always appreciate her, that I took her love for granted. I wanted to believe that by reaching out in small, disconnected ways, I could somehow make up for the time I lost, for the things I didn't say when I should have. It wasn't until much later that I understood. This inconsistency in reaching out wasn't about her at all. It was about me, trying to deal with the fact that I had lost something invaluable, and I wasn't ready to fully face it. Regret, as I came to realize, doesn't always show up with a dramatic apology. It often comes in the form of these small, hesitant gestures, ones that speak more to our desire for validation than to any real intention of reconciliation. The thing about regret is it's not always something you can fix with a quick text or a phone call. It's a process. It takes time, reflection, and the painful acknowledgement of what was lost. When a man regrets losing you, his inconsistency in reaching out, in trying but never fully committing, is a sign that he's still caught in that emotional tug of war. He's pulling himself toward the possibility of something better, while still fearing the deeper pain of truly facing what's been lost. As I reflect on my own actions, I see now that real growth, real regret, is not about trying to fill the empty space with anything. It's about sitting with that emptiness and letting it teach you something. So, now let's pause for a moment and think about this. How does the absence of certain actions, the things he no longer does, speak volumes about the regret that lingers? Because sometimes what remains unsaid and undone carries more weight than anything we've tried to fix. Sign number 3, the absence of his effort. Have you ever felt like he was right there, but still so far away? The absence of his actions, the things he no longer does, what do they really tell you about the regret he may be carrying inside? When a man regrets losing you, his actions, or lack of them, speak louder than words ever could. It's easy to mistake the lack of effort for apathy, but in reality, it's often a sign of his struggle to confront the weight of what's been lost. Regret doesn't always show up with grand gestures of apology. Sometimes it hides in the small, everyday actions he's no longer taking. Research from the University of Toronto in 2020 highlighted how emotional avoidance often plays a key role in the way people deal with loss and regret. When faced with the aftermath of a breakup, many avoid the confrontation of their feelings by withdrawing from the very actions that once defined their relationship. For men, this often manifests in not reaching out, not making the effort to reconnect, or simply remaining silent when they once would have acted. This is where the true weight of regret lies. It's not in the things he does, but in the things he stops doing. The absence of effort is a reflection of the emotional toll regret takes on him. When he pulls back, it's not because he no longer cares. It's because the pain of losing you has made him unsure of how to show up in your life again, and perhaps even unsure of how to face the consequences of his own actions. What remains unsaid and undone is sometimes a more powerful indicator of what's lost than anything spoken. In the silence, in the lack of action, he's silently acknowledging the depth of the gap that exists between you now, a gap he's unsure of how to bridge. The regret is felt in the distance, in the hesitation, in the moments that should have been filled with effort, but instead are marked by stillness. If any of this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share your story. We're here to listen to each other's journeys because sometimes just being heard can be the first step towards healing. The regret is felt in the distance, in the hesitation, in the moments that should have been filled with effort, but instead are marked by stillness. And now, let's dive deeper into the final sign. When he no longer tries to make you feel valued, what does that really mean for the love that was once shared?
Sign number 4, the emotional withdrawal. Emotional withdrawal is one of the quietest signs of regret, yet it speaks volumes. In the beginning, he would have opened up to you, sharing his thoughts, his fears, his dreams. But now, something has shifted. He's physically present, yet emotionally distant. Those walls he once tore down have quietly risen, and you feel that growing space between you, as if the connection you shared is slowly slipping away. When a man regrets losing you, emotional withdrawal is often one of the clearest signs. It's not that his feelings have disappeared, they've simply become tangled in the weight of his own regrets. The regret that's left unspoken makes him retreat inward, unable to show the vulnerability that once came so naturally. This emotional distance is a complex dance between wanting to reconnect and being too afraid to face the pain that would come with it. He's unsure whether you would want him back. He's unsure whether his mistakes can be forgiven, and whether the space between you can ever be bridged again. His withdrawal isn't just about you. It's about him trying to protect himself from the deep guilt and sorrow of his own actions. As he pulls away emotionally, it's not because he no longer cares. It's because he's still grappling with the aftermath of his choices. For many men, particularly as they grow older, emotional withdrawal becomes a form of self-protection. It's easier to remain distant, to hide behind silence and absence, than it is to confront the regret that's quietly eating away at him. If this resonates with you, I encourage you to save this video. Recognizing the signs of emotional withdrawal can be the first step in reclaiming your own space and understanding the deeper layers of regret that might be at play. As we think about this, let's dive into how these emotional distances affect you, the one who has to navigate through the silence. What does it mean for your healing, and how can you begin to move forward even when someone who once cared for you emotionally has withdrawn?
Sign number 5, the quiet self-reflection. Regret, more often than not, is a quiet companion. It doesn't demand attention, and it certainly doesn't announce itself. Instead, it simmers beneath the surface, weaving itself into the fabric of a man's thoughts, slowly becoming a part of who he is. When a man truly regrets losing you, that regret doesn't always surface as grand gestures or spoken words. Sometimes it's the absence of those things, the silence that stretches between you, a constant reminder of what's been lost. And this silence, it speaks volumes. Regret can be incredibly lonely. While we may be quick to move on or fill the empty spaces with distractions, there are moments when the weight of our past decisions becomes impossible to ignore. Self-reflection forces us to confront the truth, a truth that often remains buried, hidden beneath layers of pride and fear. In this space of quiet introspection, the man who regrets losing you is often faced with the harsh reality of his choices, unable to escape the grief that comes with realizing what he let slip away. This kind of reflection isn't always loud or dramatic. It doesn't come with tears or apologies, at least not right away. Instead, it's a quiet, almost invisible process that occurs deep within. The man who regrets losing you doesn't need to say it aloud for you to feel it. You'll notice in the way he pulls back, in the way he seems lost in thought, his mind revisiting the past and asking, "What if?" He may convince himself that he's moved on, that the relationship is in the past. But even if he doesn't speak it, the regret still lives within him, like an unfinished sentence or an unresolved chapter. What's important to understand is that this form of self-reflection is necessary for healing. While it may seem like he's emotionally detached or distant, the truth is that he's facing the depth of his own responsibility. Regret isn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of someone who understands the weight of their actions. In these moments, he's learning, changing, and perhaps becoming more aware of the man he could have been, or the man he's still trying to be. This silent battle is something that often goes unseen, and it's easy to assume that the other person has simply forgotten or moved on. But in reality, the person who regrets losing you is likely still fighting the quiet pain of that loss, unable to find a way to fix what's broken, especially if they feel that the opportunity to make things right has passed them by. It's not always about forgetting or forgiving. It's about coming to terms with what has been lost and understanding the consequences of not cherishing it sooner.
As we've explored, regret after losing someone isn't always loud, obvious, or expressed in grand gestures. It's often quiet, internal, and can manifest in ways that are easy to overlook. Whether it's through the absence of effort, emotional withdrawal, or self-reflection, the signs of regret can feel like shadows, present but hard to fully see. But just because it's silent doesn't mean it's any less real. A man who regrets losing you may not always show it, and he may not have the words to express the depth of his feelings. But in the silence, in the small actions he no longer takes, in the distance he puts between you, the weight of his regret is still there. Understanding this can be a powerful key to unlocking your own healing. It reminds us that love, even when it's lost, doesn't always disappear. Sometimes it simply transforms, quietly, invisibly, until we choose to face it. We've all been there, that painful realization that we didn't truly appreciate something until it was gone. For those who regret losing someone, that awareness can be a lifelong journey. But it's not just about their regret, it's about how you respond to it. The most important part of this process is recognizing your own worth and allowing yourself to move forward not with bitterness, but with understanding. Regret can teach us, shape us, and help us grow, but it doesn't have to define us. It's in how we handle our own regrets, how we understand those who regret losing us, that we find our strength.
It's a reminder that love, even in its most painful forms, is still a powerful teacher. If something in today's reflection resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your voice matters, and your story might just be the reminder someone else needs. Let's continue this journey together, growing, healing, and finding peace along the way. Take a moment to reflect on how you view regret, not just from others, but from yourself. The key to healing lies not in waiting for others to change, but in how we choose to carry the lessons learned. And remember, sometimes the greatest act of love is to let go. For both of you. And I'm Vernon. Thanks for watching my video.